You are listening to Productivity Straight Talk with your host, Amber De La Garza. Amber is a sought-after productivity coach, trainer, speaker, and writer who gives entrepreneurs the straight talk on personal productivity. No BS, fluff, or overused jargon. Just actionable strategies to get results and succeed in business. And here is your host, Amber De La Garza, the Productivity Specialist.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to Productivity Straight Talk. Today is episode 289, Using AI to Hire for the Skills Your Business Needs, with Robyn Grable. If you're a business owner who wants to learn effective business strategies, improve time management, and elevate productivity to maximize profits, reduce stress, and make time for what matters most, then you're in the right place, and I'm so glad you've joined me. Today, I'm looking forward to you getting to meet our guest, Robyn Grable. Robyn is the founder and CEO of Talent Ascend, which she created to help employers invest in a skills-based talent acquisition strategy that is an intentional model of inclusivity for military talent, people with disabilities, and justice-involved candidates. An award-winning advocate, speaker, author, entrepreneur, CEO, and proud Navy veteran, Robyn uses her diverse pursuits as a mission of service with a passion to give voice for the underserved talent to be included. Her unwavering commitment is well served by 30 years of private sector human resources after 9 years of service in the U.S. Navy. Her ongoing study of America's workforce has made her a leading voice on advocacy, removing barriers, and providing connections to successful employment for underserved talent. In recognition of her work, Robyn was named among the 2023 GSA Women of Influence and a 2023 Veteran Champion of the Year in Corporate America by GI Jobs magazine. If you are an employer, a business owner with team members, and you are frustrated with filling roles or have anxiety about the idea of posting for another position in your company, or are resistant to letting go of somebody on your team that you know is not a right fit because you feel that you'll never find somebody else, then this episode is for you. In my conversation with Robyn today, you will discover why task-focused job descriptions don't work, why job boards are no longer cutting it, where to find quality candidates, if not Indeed.com, ways AI can be utilized in hiring, how Robyn's AI for hiring business works, and so much more. If you are here listening to Productivity Straight Talk and you feel that you would like to go deeper and further in your entrepreneurial journey and get coaching and support around your time management, creating efficiency for yourself, your team, your business. Perhaps you're making a new hire and you're not sure what that next hire should be, or you need support in leading your team and delegating and setting clear boundaries so that your team can work effectively. If you're looking to reduce the stress and overwhelm of running your business, or help with making strategic business decisions that will help you level up your business, then I would love to partner with you. I invite you to schedule a discovery call so that we can discuss what partnering together to help you get unstuck, reduce stress, and determine a clear path to increase profits. To schedule that discovery call and to learn more about what that might look like to work together, you can head on over to amberdelagarza.com/coaching. Again, that's amberdelagarza.com/coaching. And now let's meet our guest and get to the straight talk. Welcome to Productivity Straight Talk, Robyn. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Amber. Thank you so much.
Yes, I'm so happy to have you. We got to speak for just a few moments before we hit record, and I was just sharing with you how excited I am to have this conversation because I think that many of our listeners, if not all of them, have hiring on their minds. They have the needs of either wanting to grow their team or replace somebody on their team. But there is a lot of hesitation to the uphill of, what that's like to hire. So before we get into the strategies you're going to share with us today, I would love for you to share with our listeners a little bit about your background and why do I get to talk to you about hiring and finding talent for our businesses?
Absolutely. Great question. Well, I've been in HR a long time, over 30 years. So various roles, business consulting. I've worked for large businesses, large corporations, small businesses. So I've really gathered all of that experience and really brought it into what we need today in today's world and just cutting out the noise and the barriers that come with hiring and really finding the right talent. It doesn't have to be complicated. And I think we've made it complicated. So I like simple things. And that's what
I do too. So now I'm even more excited to chat about this.
Absolutely. I mean, it doesn't have to be complicated either, really. And we've just made it complicated because in the days when you got thousands of applicants to a job posting on a job board, you had to have a way to get through all of those in a timely fashion. But we've now gone to the extreme where we're filtering people out instead of including them in the hiring process. And that means employers are missing out on some great talent out there.
Yeah, it is a bit frustrating. And I would agree. I've seen that extreme go from one to the other, right? Where you could have just whispered you needed to hire somebody and you needed to have processes and filters and, all these steps to the hiring process. And then to your point, it's like we're actually screaming from the rooftops looking for anyone qualified to apply. So let's get into that. One of the things that you had shared with us prior to us speaking today was that there is a challenge with finding good talent. So I'll just give it to you and we can start off there. When a business owner needs to grow their team, what are some of the challenges that they're experiencing right now?
I think the biggest challenge is people are trying to overfish in the same place everybody else is, right? You're always going back to the same place that you did, the same job boards that you used before, the same job descriptions that you used before, using all those old processes or old antiquated processes and expecting different results. But the world has changed. The workforce has changed. COVID did a lot for that. As bad as COVID did for a lot of things, it changed the workforce. It changed how employees look for careers. They don't just want jobs nowadays. They want careers. They want employers who are going to care about them as a person and give them a opportunity to have a purpose. So employers have to look at talent differently these days. They have to look at how they're finding talent different. And that starts with really rewriting those job descriptions and thinking about the skills they need, not just the tasks they need done for the job, but the skills required of that job. Because it's a different conversation if you sit down with somebody and you say, have you chopped down a tree before? And I have to say no. But if you ask me, have I used a saw? Can I do mathematical calculations? Can I do safety requirements? There are skills required to getting that tree chopped down. I have those skills. But if you don't ask me about my skills, I'm going to say no, or I'm going to fabricate or cultivate my resume to look like your job description so I fit through the filters. And now I come to you and I have imposter syndrome because I don't really have the skills you need, but that's not what you asked me. And I'm going to have to try to do the job you need me to do, not successfully. So it starts with employers thinking about the talent they need for their company and not just one job at a time either. It's about looking at your entire company and what skills do you need for the company, because you could hire someone with the skills that could easily come in and work, especially for small businesses. We wear multiple hats in small business.
That's right.
Right? So if you hire somebody with skills that could apply to this job or that job, you're going to get somebody that's well-rounded and that you could ask them to do multiple things within your business very easily, rather than I've hired somebody for this particular task. That's all they can do. I don't get the same productivity out of them. So it really starts with employers, especially small businesses, because small business owners don't have a lot of resources or time. to do a lot of the things that bigger businesses can. So it starts with looking at the skills you need across your organization, writing those job descriptions to be skills based, and looking at talent that has those skills, regardless of who, gender, where, ethnicity or background, when, age, or how, whether I got my skills from school, military experience, or just life in general. It doesn't matter. Do I have the skills you need? Let's have a conversation.
Yeah. So as you're speaking, I've got so much going through my head. But one of the things is like, I hear you saying, but not saying, get creative with the job posting. It's not going to be the cookie cutter, I have this job description that fits this one role, but getting creative and thinking about how other experiences on their resume and life experiences can transfer over, and those skills can transfer over. And I'm assuming that's to help widen the net.
Absolutely. Because you're going to think about transferable skills from one role. Think about restaurant workers when they were put out of work during COVID. They have tremendous customer service skills. They could easily take those customer service skills and apply them to an inbound customer service online, telephone role, right?
Right.
But if you just say, oh, you just worked at a restaurant, I need somebody in a call center. If you don't make that skill connection, you are missing out on that talent. So it's really about, like you said, thinking about it differently and being creative to what skills do I need and where might I find those skills, not just because you've worked in that role before. Working in a role before doesn't necessarily mean I'm successful at it. Doesn't necessarily mean I have the skills. It just means somebody hired me to do the job and I'm not doing that job anymore for a reason. Right. So it's about looking at the person and the skills from their experience rather than just flat out saying, what was your previous title? Who was your previous employer? What is your education level? Those things limit the diversity that you're going to get in your talent pool, because not everybody can afford to go to school. Not everybody can afford to go to Ivy League schools. So if you're limiting that to just those who have that degree, you've filtered out thousands of people who really want to do well and work for your company. So it is about getting creative and thinking about the skills, and the ROI of that exponentially better at better interviews, better onboarding, better productivity, more innovation, more problem solving skills come into your company, and just better retention, because I can walk in feeling very confident now that you've hired me for my skills. You value the skills that I bring to the table. I don't have imposter syndrome, and I can just hit the ground running and do wonderful things for your company, and the business owners reap the rewards of that.
Yeah. My husband and I, if we go out, we might go out to eat, and we may have a waiter or a waitress that is just handling high stress, handling details. You can tell they're not getting flustered. They have such a great attitude, and maybe the kitchen's burning down in the back. And we can see that, but we wouldn't have seen it if we weren't looking. They're handling it like what's that saying? Like a duck on water, right? And we often have this conversation that says, wow, if we had a place in a business, like if we owned multiple businesses, this is where I'd be looking for people, is out in the world. And again, they may not have the direct experience, but as a business owner, and I think that all of us listening that have businesses can agree, so much of it is these soft skills that we want. We want somebody that can figure it out, that's good under stress, that has a great attitude, that can connect the dots and not have to be told every little thing. And I think that if you're looking, you can find that in a lot of places if you're open to not having, as you said, the exact experience for that position.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is about that creativity of thinking differently, because you may have somebody that had a very stressful life up to this point. They've learned so many things. Military spouses are a perfect example of that. Military spouses are so resilient, such great problem solvers. But if you look at their resume and you judge them on gaps in their work history or multiple jobs, lack of career progression because they've moved around with their service member, you are missing out on tremendous talent, right? Because Stay-at-home parents as well. I mean, just same situation. If I've stayed home to raise my children and then go back into the workforce, whether you're male or female, there are so many skills that you've acquired from being a stay-at-home parent. You are teaching, you are organizing, you are doing finances, you are doing logistics. All of these things, these skills, those are transferable skills. So it's about, again, looking at that person and what have you done? What transferable skills can you bring to my organization and help me grow and you thrive in those positions? So yeah. I love talking about this. It really is amazing. And it's so simple. If more business owners would think this way instead of just doing the same old way, job posting, resume, applicant, it's old and antiquated. I mean, the resume is back to the Leonardo da Vinci days, right? I mean, it's just old. Why? And it's so discriminatory and exclusive, like you're exclusionary to the talent that you need. And who wants to be judged for what's wrong with them? How much better is that conversation when you can say, oh, I love that you have this client service, that you're being able to do things under stress. Tell me about that. Yeah. It's just such a different world and would bring so much more positivity.
Yeah. Something else that you said, I just want to highlight is just because they were doing that same job title or role somewhere else doesn't mean that it's just going to be a easy onboard. Like they're just going to fit right in and take off and handle the role. Even though, look, if every business owner had a magic wand, that's exactly what they want. They want to find the employee, snap their fingers, and off and running they are. But let's come back down to reality. And the reality is, even if they're working with a competitor, as small business owners, we know that each small business, even in the same industries, can run and operate so differently. And so I love that. If that's the reality, then why not go outside of just that specific role? Because you're going to have that learning curve probably no matter what.
Absolutely. Because if you think about it, if I've worked for a competitor or even just in a different company, every company works differently. Every company culture is different. I want somebody that works in my environment that can fit the needs that I have in my company. I want somebody that can be open-minded to learning a different process. I don't want you to come in and do the same thing my competitor did because I want my business to run the way I want my business to run. So it's so true that every business has a unique set of needs and every human being has a unique set of skills. It's about matching the two and thinking about them as they come together.
Okay. So as we started today's conversation, it was about not like overfishing in the same place. And one of the first places that comes to mind to me is Indeed. Right? Like I hesitate to even say love hate. It's mostly hate with most of my clients, but it's like a necessary evil. It's like, hey, I'm looking for somebody. I need to post. And I know they've been changing their pricing. And I mean, the platform's changing rapidly and it becomes increasingly frustrating for many of my clients. But where else do they go then? That's the burning question, right? So what are some strategies and places to look?
The best way to think about it, other than using Talent Ascend, because that's essentially what we do. But
okay, we'll get into that. I do want to hear that. Yes.
But it's really about networking and meeting somebody where they're at. So finding groups, finding peers that, LinkedIn is good for that, to find people that are doing the same kind of work that you're doing, or just groups that you can be involved in, networking with different people, because it really comes down to meeting somebody or knowing somebody that knows someone that can give you that straight, here's the skills that they have. They would be great for your company. The problem with the job boards is that, I think LinkedIn put out a survey, 56% of people either stretch the truth or flat out lie on their resumes. I thought another study that said 90% of recruiters say they know somebody has lied on their resume. You have to get out of that cycle. You just have to. Otherwise, you are always going to be in that perpetual job board, job posting, applicant, know they're lying on their resume just to get through the filters, and you're having to do all that work over and over again. So finding groups that you can align with that are in your industry or similar to your industry. There's a lot of groups out there like that you can just talk about, what I need for my business. Mentors, finding a mentor that can help you get connections to other ways of finding talent. LinkedIn is a good place for networking, obviously, and finding people without having to, have that application process. Being involved in chambers are good as well, but it's really about breaking the old molds. Posting a job on Indeed is the easy way, and a lot of business owners are stressed for time. But what they don't realize is that the time they're spending on the back end of that equation, where they've got those applicants who have stretched the truth on their resume, you don't know what their salary requirement is, all that time is money. So if you just spent that time up front, doing your sourcing differently, you would get the ROI, and you would exponentially keep getting it, because now you're going to hire people again who are very productive, who get the job done, who have friends, who know that now they know that you value them as a person for who they are and what they bring to the table. That branding is going to get you more of a pipeline out in their networks, and it just keeps spreading and spreading. So it's again, you got to get creative, find the people that you need where they are. Just like you said, when you go to a restaurant, be aware when you're at the grocery store, when you're out at the doctor's office, wherever you are, as a small business owner, you should always be thinking about, what talent do I need? But that's where it also starts, though, Amber. It starts with knowing your business and the skills that you need. Because you can't recognize the talent if you don't know what skills you need, right? You're not saying, hey, I need this type of skill. So that person just displayed those skills. I want to talk to them about an opportunity. Or who do they know? Because they probably have friends that are similar in aspects to them. They're going to know people.
Yeah, I hear preparation. So making sure you know who it is you're looking for, understanding your business and your needs, which takes a time investment, but well worth it on the front end. And then being proactive. So I would consider just posting on, say, Indeed as being reactive. Like you just throw it out there and you hope people are coming to you. And I will say that in my own personal experience, my team that I have now was all proactive. And I'm just going to give examples. So nobody came from a job posting, like job board. My first, her name is Crystal. She's been with me for like 9 years. That was a referral from a client because I was having conversation with who I needed, who I wanted, and she knew her. And then we have Lacey, my executive assistant. I did a job posting, but I put it on my social media and asked people to share it. They shared it into a closed group. In that closed group, Lacey had ended up applying. So if I had just leaned on my own personal network, it would not have happened. And then we have Sabrina, who's my VA, tech VA. And I had to go looked on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I was looking for keywords in their profile. And I had a job posting, and then I was inviting specific people to apply instead of just waiting for them to like stumble upon my application or my job posting. And so in all of those areas, my team was built from, proactively reaching out in different, ways. So I just wanted to share that to say, like, there's proof in it, and it absolutely takes time on the front end.
It does, but you hit on the key point, proactive. But you think about business owners wouldn't just randomly or reactively try to get clients, right? Or try to sell their products or services. There's a methodology to sell your product or service. It's the same thing with your employees. Your employees are the assets of your business. They're an investment in your business. And so it takes proactive work to do the front end analysis of who your target is, who is really a good fit for your organization, what skills would they have, what kind of culture would they believe in, that kind of thing. Doing all that proactive work up front, just like you do when you're trying to decide what clients you need to sell your service or product to. Because you can't, any business 101 will tell you can't just go out there and try to, shoot multiple BBs and try to get the right client. It's the same thing with employees. You've got to know what you need, what your business needs, and then go out and find that where they're at and be very proactive about it. Absolutely. It works every time.
So to be sure that we fully answer this question, I want you to share about your business. So how does your business help find the right talent for business owners?
Yeah, thank you. So we are a sourcing platform, but it's really about getting the right person with the right skills in the right role and using AI to translate military occupations and civilian occupations into a skills profile. So we help the candidates identify what their skills are from their experience, but we take out all the barriers of where did I work before? How long did I work there? What was my previous title? We take all those barriers out. For the employers, they go in and create job profiles, pick the exact skills they need for the job, and then our AI matches them with candidates. So there's no searching, there's no applying, there's no reason to fabricate or cultivate your skills. It's about matching those together and direct connections. So very much like the networking that I was talking about, we just use AI to make those connections. Employers come in and create their profiles, candidates create theirs, and we match them together for those great conversations.
And are these hard skills and soft skills?
Absolutely. So both the candidates will put technical skills from their experience as well as choose their soft skills that they want to be represented as themselves. One of the great things I love about our platform is, people with disabilities or military spouses, people that don't always have a lot of occupational history to translate from, they get to choose who they are and be proud of that. I'm an introvert. I like to work behind the scenes, or I'm an extrovert. I love being out in front of people. Because as we talked about before, every business has a unique set of needs. Every person has a unique set of skills. Let's match the two together for direct conversations. And that's exactly what Talents Ascend does. Very easily, removing all the barriers and the bias. It doesn't matter who, when, where, what, or how. It matters that I have the skills that you need. Let's have a conversation.
Okay. Sounds great. I'm just curious. So if it's self-evaluated, is there anything in the process where it's actually evaluated? I can say, I am really great at Excel. I would rate myself an 8 out of 10. And then I meet somebody and I'm like, what? It could do what? Right. So, it's kind of hard to self-evaluate ourselves, sometimes on technical skills and sometimes often on soft skills, how we see ourselves. So how do you help the employer and a possible candidate reconcile that?
So the first thing is that our candidates don't apply or search for jobs on our platform. So there's no reason for them to put a skill on their profile that they don't have.
Oh, okay.
So we're translating if they've been in the military, we're translating their military occupation and their civilian occupations into skills for them. So if they were an administrative assistant, we're listing all the skills applicable to that role and what they've learned in that role. So there's no reason for them to change or put skills on there they don't have, because they're going to get valued for the skills they do have. It's a fresher breath of air, right?
Yeah,
because now
I can see that.
I can be proud of who I am and the experience that I bring to the table, and an employer will match to that, and we have the conversation. So it's a totally different conversation around what skills do I bring? What skills do I want to match on? Not skills that I apply to and I'm trying to force myself into that box. It's the exact skills that I know I have, that I'm good at, I'm confident in, I'm comfortable with. Match that to an employer, go from there.
Okay, I actually love that. I see how there's no room for I'm tweaking my resume, I'm tweaking my skill sets because I really want this job, even though maybe I have 7 out of the 10 necessary skill sets, right? So I'm just curious, how did you get into AI and did you build this? And I honestly did not know this was where the conversation was going, but I am so curious. So talk to me about using AI in the HR field and hiring.
Funny enough, when I was in the Navy, I was a computer programmer and never really thought about it until I've kind of come full circle from working in that environment before there was Microsoft, before everybody was, doing these things, I was doing it a lot just by ones and zeros. But when I got out of the Navy and couldn't translate my skills, people, couldn't figure out what I did and how to put that on a resume. Fast forward in my years of HR, really understanding the barriers for an employer to get to the talent they need, for military veterans, military spouses, people with disabilities to get to an interview. That was really the barrier. Just get me to an interview. If you will just talk to me about the skills that I have, right? But if you're filtering me out, because veterans and military spouses get filtered out 95% of the time because of those filters, previous employer, previous title, education, gaps in their work history, all those negative things.
Right. Lots of assumptions being made reading the resume, right? You don't know where you're reaching them. They may have just found out, actually, they're no longer moving anymore. But I could see how a business owner would say, well, I get it, but I need someone that can stick around for more than 2 years.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So all those barriers. And so when I decided to create this program, I knew that we had to remove the barriers. So the first barrier was the resume. Get rid of the resume. Well, how do we do that? We need to look at the skills. All right. Then we need to translate skills and match those to an employer. So AI was the answer because it can do that in the blink of an eye, match thousands, millions of candidates to every employer across the board in the blink of an eye. No human can do that. I mean, we just can't. But there are still lots of human things that need to be done in the recruiting world, right? The interviewing process, the onboarding process, but sourcing talent, making sure you're getting the right candidate for the right role with the right skills, that can be done easily with AI. And our AI is not generative, so it doesn't make assumptions about people. It's truly just matching. You need these 3 skills. Here's a candidate with those 3 skills, located where you need them to be. Salary requirement lines up. Have a conversation.
Awesome. And then, so do you specialize in both virtual and in person? So if I was in Las Vegas and I need someone in Vegas, I'm sure that's can be a filter. Or if location's not an issue, that is also a filter.
Yeah, absolutely. So on the employer side, they can choose if the job is remote, and then the AI will not take location into consideration. So the location can be anywhere for those jobs that they designate as remote. In our program, our program is open to anyone, but we do give special preference to our military veterans, military spouses, people with disabilities, justice involved, first responders. And the employers can segment. So if I only want to match with veterans because maybe they're doing a military initiative, they only want to match with people with disabilities because they have some more DEI initiatives they're trying to fill, they can do that. So there are ways of getting to particular segments, but it is super simple to just go in and say it's a remote job or this is where it's located. And then the AI will look at that location and match them with candidates that are either in that location or are willing to relocate to that location.
Yeah. Wow. I did not know we were going to have this conversation. And again, I'll say that I was just having this conversation with my husband a couple of weekends ago. We were watching a military movie that was based on a real story. And the conversation came up after. It was like, oh my gosh, look how incredibly invested and talented and skilled these people are. And I was like, but what would they do when they get out? That was literally the after conversation. And my husband and I were having how challenging and frustrating and that is. And so to find out, I literally have a tear in my eye, to find out that your AI and your business is helping bridge that gap is amazing. I think that's beautiful. And I mean, at least it will make their transition back into I guess the traditional workforce a bit easier. And that's amazing.
Yeah, and absolutely. When you think about it too, there are 33 million businesses across the US. Those smaller businesses, how do they even get connected to the military talent that's coming out today, or military spouses across the country? If they're not a household name, you get out of the military, you go through a transition program, but mostly you're getting told about big businesses, the Boeings of the world, right? The Lockheed Martins of the world, right? You're not being told about the small construction company or the small manufacturing company that can offer you a great career. You just don't know about them. So you can't even find them to apply.
Right.
So that's really what we're trying to help too, is small businesses really get branded as ready to hire military and take those transferable skills to every role in their business. Because then that's what happens. You see somebody that's been in infantry for any number of years and you think, I don't need to hire a security guard. What else would I do with you? But if you look at the job that somebody in the infantry has done in the military, there are things like operational planning, equipment maintenance, logistics, human resources, so many transferable skills. So we're definitely helping bridge the gap in that translation, but the misperceptions about what we've done in the military and how that can be transferred to any industry, any company, almost any job in the civilian world.
Yeah. Okay. So, again, I just want to ask because I don't need to be sending somebody on a wild goose chase, so we might as well answer that question. So, do candidates pay? Do employers pay, or is it one or the other? Like, how does that model work for people?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's completely free for all candidates to create their profile. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes, depending on how much education or certifications you want to add in there. And then that's it. As they say in the lottery, you're in it to win it, to get matched to a great career or multiple careers. On the employer side, it is an annual membership fee based on company size. So it starts at less than 100 employees. There's a rate. Less than 200, it goes up from there. We also have a couple of different options for helping smaller businesses with an outsourced recruiter, because a lot of small businesses don't have, a dedicated recruiting team
Right.
or talent acquisition team. Certainly, they don't have military programs, but they can leverage our extensive network through our platform as well. So it's based on their company size.
Okay. And does your company offer the service of helping a small business owner understand what skills they actually need for the role?
Great question, Amber. I love it. I love it. Yes, we do. When they go in to create their employer, the job profiles, they can pick a base career. So we've got a library of base careers. They choose administrative assistant, and we will populate the skills associated with that career for them. So they don't have to really think about it. They can obviously edit. So if there's a skill that we've chosen that they don't need for their business, they can take that out. They could also put in other skills that they require for their business. We will also build those base careers for them. So if we're missing one that they need, maintenance tech, whatever the job is that they're trying to fill, we will build that base career for them. And it gives them a baseline to a foundation of skills to think about.
Okay. Is there anything that I didn't ask you about matching people based on skill sets? And then we can transition into a little bit different topic, but I want to make sure we've thoroughly covered this because this is very interesting to me.
I think so. I think, we've covered the being proactive. We've covered being creative. We've covered thinking about the skills that you need for your business and where to find and where to look and how to look for those skills and what kind of conversation and the ROI that you're going to get from it. So yeah, I think we covered it.
Okay, so since you have your finger on the pulse of like what the market is right now, how long is it taking people? And maybe this would be a skewed answer to using your services, which is just fine. But generally, how long is it taking for a business owner to fill a role right now? And this is good feedback because I know it's quite lengthy out in the regular job posting world. So I'm just curious.
I just saw a new survey said 44 days to fill a role. A lot of that time is spent, first of all, especially for small business owners, they don't, they're allocating a minute here, a minute there to hiring because they're running their business. They've got all these other things that they're doing. So it is a lot faster when you think about working proactively, because again, if you're always looking at the talent that you need, it just comes naturally. Like you're out the grocery store. Oh, I want to talk to that person, right? But if you're being reactive to filling a position, then you're always stressed about how long it takes. And it's going to take longer because now you've got to sit down and really focus on what you need, get that job posting out there, start to get those applicants in, looking at bad resumes. That's all time consuming. And it costs you money. So really the key is to fill those positions faster and more effectively, more efficiently, is to be proactive. know upfront what you need, know where you can find those skills, know what kind of talent you need for your business, and it'll go much faster because you'll be able to look at something or somebody and know exactly that they're not the right fit very quickly, or
Right.
they don't have the skills that you need very quickly. And finding them where you can find that talent, or from referrals or from your network. The foundation of the quality of person that you're going to get will save you time.
Okay. So when I think about the hiring, and you said that your business is subscription, right? And I thought, that's interesting. But I'm going to tell you why I love that. I actually have an episode called Always Be Hiring.
Yes.
We'll link to it in the show notes.
Yes.
And the essence of that episode, the Cliff Notes version, is to have a process as a small business owner to where in just a moment you could decide you're flipping the switch on the hiring process to bridge that gap, to close that gap, as you said, of, you don't want 44 days because someone could decide they're not coming in again and just quit on you. But I always want my business owners, my clients, to be in the driver's seat and not say, oh, I'm just going to deal with someone coming in late, talking back, subpar, work because, oh my gosh, to post a job, like I don't want to have to post for a job. Like that seems like a mountain that they don't want to climb. But if you can feel confident that you have a process that you can reach, potential candidates, then I feel like you'll hold your standards because you're not feeling like, you have options. So
absolutely. And that's another beauty part of our program, because it is an annual membership, but the why we did that is so that employers would build a talent strategy, a proactive pipeline, build that pipeline of talent. We don't share anything out on the internet or post anything from the internet. So everything stays contained within our platform so that they can put jobs in that they may have some regular turnover, or they may be thinking about, I want to hire someone 6 months from now. Let me start to build a pipeline of those conversations that I'm ready when I have the funds or whatever the process is. I'm maybe bidding on a new contract. So yes, it is about being proactive, because I don't know, I'll use this analogy. When I go to the grocery store hungry without a list, I put so much more in my cart than I ever needed, right?
yes.
But if I go in with a very specific list, knowing exactly what I need, I'm going to get what I need and get out of there. I don't spend a lot of time. I don't waste a lot of time. It's the same thing with hiring people for your company. If you know exactly what you need and where you can find them and build those proactive pipelines, it's such an easier process, and you don't have to be held hostage to bad performance or, issues with employees who just don't want to be there. The talent is out there, and there is people that want to work and want to do good, want to have a purpose, especially in a small business. So I definitely say when you're proactive, you do not have to be held
hostage. That was a great word. Held hostage to the many situations I'm sure I've seen with my clients. And I think that, we just met, but I safely say we want the best for your business. We want you to have the best talent. We want it to not be incredibly stressful dealing with a difficult employee or someone that's just not holding their own, because I'm going to just keep taking it back to small business. Like there's not enough room in a small business to pick up that slack, and that everyone that's not holding their weight, it hits hard. And generally it's the business owner holding the bag. It's the business owner working late, the business owner that's not able to, do the next thing to grow the business because they're just busy working in the business, covering for roles that need to be covered.
Absolutely. And you're also doing a disservice to your great employees, because when you allow one bad apple to continuously, rot in the barrel, you're affecting the rest of your team. You're affecting your good employees, and that will eventually take a toll.
That's a great point. All right. So if our listeners would love to hear more about your company, your AI service, how do they find you? And just share a little bit about that.
Absolutely. It's talentsascend.com. Talents with an S. So talentsascend.com. A lot of information out there on our website. You can email us at findtalent@talentsascend.com as well. That's the best way to find us, and you can schedule a consultation. We'd love to talk with you. We really just want to know about your business, what your needs are, and if we can help. And if we can't be the right resource for you, we probably know how to help you in any way. So we just want to help people. That's really our goal. So talentsascend.com, schedule a consultation with us. We'd love to talk with you.
Awesome. And I'm just saying, like, even if you don't currently have a need for hiring, if you know anybody that can be the candidate in this service, like, spread the news so that they can go put their information up there. I'm sure that is just as helpful to your business at both sides of this, but definitely share this resource. And then I believe you shared with us that you had a special offer for our listeners if they choose to work with your company.
Absolutely. So just reference the podcast and you'll get a 10% coupon off our membership for the year. So
I appreciate it. Well, thank you so much for being a guest. And I love the direction that our conversation went. And I really love when it goes in unexpected places. But thanks for inviting us to get creative with finding great talent for our businesses.
Thank you, Amber. Pleasure to be here. Opportunity. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I have loved having you listen to this episode of Productivity Straight Talk. And I sure hope you found today's episode to be impactful and valuable. But I need to be straight with you. No change, no change. Without taking action, nothing will change for you or your business. Today, I hope that the conversation that you heard Robyn and I have, perhaps it just changed your perspective on how you will approach hiring the next time. Or maybe you are going to pursue AI for hiring and reach out to Robyn. Or maybe you are just going to look at resumes a bit differently next time you are in the hiring process. My hope for you is that today's conversation is able to change your experience with hiring just enough to make it easier and more joyful. So go take some action today. If you have been thinking about potentially working with me, being a client and getting coaching, accountability, and a support, then now is the time to reach out. I invite you to schedule a call so that we can talk about what it is you're looking to accomplish through coaching. And I would love to get to know you. And then I will share with you what that might look like for us to work together. And that's it. No obligation. We're going to have a short 20, 30-minute conversation about your favorite thing, which is your business. And if I think I can help, I will let you know how I think I can do that. To schedule a discovery call, head on over to amberdelagarza.com/call. Again, that's amberdelagarza.com/call. And if you are new here, be sure to hit subscribe wherever you're listening to this episode of Productivity Straight Talk. And if you are a repeat listener, be sure you are not keeping this a secret. If you enjoyed today's episode and you think that it could be of value and helpful to another business owner, share it with them today. So that's my straight talk for today. Until next time, have a productive week.